When a package from Sweden lands at your workshop, and you've never touched one of their cars, never featured their brand, never even mentioned their name on camera, something unusual is happening. Matt Armstrong opened that box from Koenigsegg and found premium merchandise, official branded gear that doesn't exist in stores because this company builds maybe 30 cars a year, while Toyota cranks out that same number every few seconds. The hoodies and shirts were impressive enough, but tucked inside was a handwritten note telling him to watch specific videos, which meant someone at that factory in Ängelholm had already been watching his. Years of rebuilding crashed Lamborghinis and Ferraris had earned Matt nothing from those brands, not a phone call or a thank you, despite pouring hundreds of thousands into genuine parts and generating tens of millions of views. The silence from these Italian manufacturers stood in sharp contrast to what just arrived from Sweden, and the timing made it land differently because this package showed up right after the Bugatti situation went public. What Koenigsegg did wasn't random corporate outreach or some marketing intern ticking boxes on a spreadsheet. This was a calculated move from one of the most secretive hypercar manufacturers on the planet, and understanding why they reached out requires understanding how brutally different their philosophy is from the legacy brands. Matt Armstrong doesn't get starstruck easily after pulling engines from Lamborghini Huracans and rewiring Ferrari hybrids that specialist dealerships refuse to touch, restoring vehicles worth more than most houses. Surprises rarely catch him off guard anymore. The package from Ängelholm broke through that barrier because Koenigsegg operates nothing like the typical automotive manufacturer. They employ a fraction of the staff that Ferrari does, build a fraction of the cars, operate on a fraction of the budget, yet they made the smartest creator relations move in the automotive industry this year. No influencer gifting programs exist at Koenigsegg, their communications team is tiny by industry standards, and every external decision they make is deliberate rather than part of some structured marketing pipeline. When Ferrari or Lamborghini send merchandise to content creators, it flows through established channels and approved processes. Koenigsegg sending anything means someone inside that Swedish factory made a specific individual decision to reach out to a specific person, and that distinction matters enormously. The merchandise itself probably cost under £100, a few hoodies and shirts and a handwritten note, yet in return, they generated thousands of hours of community discussion across social media and genuine brand curiosity among millions of subscribers. No marketing agency on earth delivers that kind of return on investment, which is what happens when a brand understands the current media landscape intuitively rather than through corporate strategy presentations. The atmosphere Matt was operating in when that package arrived explains why it resonated so powerfully. Bugatti has long operated with exclusivity that borders on hostile toward anyone outside their approved circle, famously protective of who can own their cars and who gets anywhere near their engineering. Well-documented cases exist of Bugatti exercising what's called a right of first refusal, meaning that when an owner wants to sell, Bugatti can step in and effectively block buyers they consider unworthy of the brand. Think of it as a private members club that decides who gets in based on criteria they never fully publish. The drama that unfolded publicly involved a prominent content creator with a massive audience and genuine passion for the brand being pushed out of the picture entirely. And while details vary depending on the source, the core message was consistent across all accounts. Certain legacy brands view independent creators and rebuilders not as ambassadors, but as threats to their carefully constructed image. For Matt Armstrong, none of this was abstract theory. He'd been living a version of this story for years already. Significant money went into acquiring a crashed Lamborghini Reventon, one of only 21 ever made, and enormous resources poured into restoring it while the parts alone cost a fortune. The attention it brought to Lamborghini's engineering was massive. The brand's response was silence. The same pattern played out with Ferrari when Matt worked deep in the process of rebuilding a Ferrari 296 GTB on camera using genuine OEM components sourced at great cost, all documented for millions of people to watch. Neither brand reached out, neither acknowledged what he was doing, and in the wake of the Bugatti situation, that silence felt louder than it had before. This is the context in which Koenigsegg's package arrived. Not just a box of merchandise, but a signal sent at exactly the right moment that said, "We see you, and we're not like them." What Koenigsegg did wasn't random luck or coincidence. There's a very deliberate philosophy behind how this company operates. And once you understand it, the package makes complete sense. Christian von Koenigsegg founded his company in 1994 with no inherited automotive empire, no significant backing, no formal engineering degree. 22 years old when he decided he wanted to build the fastest car in the world, and what he created over the following 3 decades wasn't just a hypercar company, but one of the most genuinely innovative engineering organizations on the planet. Koenigsegg developed the free-valve engine, which eliminates the traditional camshaft entirely, created the Jesko Absolute, theoretically capable of 530 kilometers per hour, invented the light-speed transmission, which shifts gears faster than any other gearbox in existence. This is not a brand running on legacy and reputation alone. They're obsessed with engineering, and Christian von Koenigsegg himself is famous for being unusually open about it. Interviews are common where he explains technology in detail, gets visibly excited talking about tolerances and thermodynamics in ways that most luxury brand CEOs simply don't. When you apply that lens to Matt Armstrong's YouTube channel, the connection becomes obvious immediately. Matt doesn't make videos about how fast a car feels or how luxurious the seats are. He gets underneath vehicles and explains how the gearbox is engineered, how the carbon tub is constructed, how the electronics are mapped. His audience of over 5 million subscribers at the time the package arrived are people who want to understand automotive technology, not just be impressed by it. And that is exactly the audience Koenigsegg wants. The note asking Matt to watch specific videos suggests that Koenigsegg's team had already identified content they wanted him to see. Almost certainly, their engineering breakdowns, manufacturing process footage, or explanations of their core technologies. They weren't pitching him a car, they were showing him what they're made of and inviting him to be curious, which is a very different kind of outreach than what traditional manufacturers attempt. Step back from the details for a moment and look at what's actually happening here, because it's bigger than one content creator receiving a box of merchandise. The automotive industry is in the middle of a significant cultural shift right now. Traditional gatekeepers like manufacturers, glossy magazines, and official press fleets no longer hold the monopoly on how cars are understood and appreciated by audiences. YouTube channels like Matt Armstrong's have built audiences that rival or exceed the readership of major automotive publications, and those audiences are not passive consumers. They're technically engaged, deeply loyal, genuinely influential in shaping how people feel about car brands. Lamborghini and Ferrari have combined revenues in the billions with marketing budgets that dwarf Koenigsegg's entire annual turnover. Yet it was Koenigsegg that made the move the Italian brands never did. The Italian supercar manufacturers protect mystery and guard their image fiercely. Koenigsegg celebrates transparency. Their own engineers post tear-down videos. Christian von Koenigsegg has sat in front of a camera and explained in granular detail how their technology works. They are not afraid of being understood. In fact, they actively want it. And that cultural difference between brands that guard secrets and a brand that opens its doors is exactly why Koenigsegg made the move that Lamborghini and Ferrari never considered. Matt Armstrong didn't campaign for recognition or post about being ignored by the brands whose cars he rebuilt. He just kept building, kept documenting, kept being genuinely good at what he does. Eventually, the right people noticed, not the brands he'd spent years working alongside, but someone watching from across the North Sea who recognized what he was doing for what it actually was. The brands you support most aren't always the ones who show up for you, but do exceptional work long enough and the right ones will find you. A box arrived from Engelholm with a note that said, "Watch these videos," and where that story goes next, nobody knows for certain, but the door is open, and with Koenigsegg, that means something.